Brasília beyond the obvious, the complete itinerary of the capital that surprises tourists. Have you ever visited Brasília and left thinking you'd seen it all? Or worse, never went because you thought it would be just a cluster of gray, lifeless government buildings? The truth is that almost every tourist makes the same mistake. They pass through Brazil's capital like visiting a closed museum, seeing only the facade and completely missing what really matters. Brasília is not a city to see quickly. It's a city to understand, experience, and feel. And here's the contradiction that few people notice. The more planned a city is, the harder it is for people to see its true beauty. Because Brasília's beauty is not in the postcards you've seen 1,000 times. It's in the details that no one shows, the stories that no one tells, and the spaces that no one explores. In this video, you'll discover the Brasília that the average tourist never knows. You'll understand why architects from around the world study this city. You'll walk through super quadras, super blocks, that seem straight out of a future that never arrived. You'll come face to face with buildings that express power in a way you've never seen before. And more importantly, you'll understand that Brasília is not just a capital. It's a lesson in urbanism, architecture, and vision for the future that's literally within your reach. So if you're ready to see Brasília with completely new eyes, join me on this journey. The beginning of it all. The pilot plan. That tourists don't understand. Brasília was designed in 1956 by architect Lúcio Costa and inaugurated in 1960 as Brazil's new capital, strategically chosen for its location in the geographic center of the country. The urban planning of Brasília was divided into different functional areas, with the pilot plan being the name given to the city's central core. The pilot plan is the region where the government buildings, main residential areas, and most important public spaces are concentrated. When viewed from above, the pilot plan reveals its airplane shape, with two main axes that organize the entire area in a geometric and intentional way. The monumental axis extends east-west and concentrates the government buildings, while the residential axis, divided into north wing and south wing, houses the everyday life of the residents. This division is not merely aesthetic. It reflects an urban planning philosophy that deliberately separates administrative power from residential life, creating a completely different city experience from those that developed organically over centuries. Access to the pilot plan is facilitated by a clear and well-signposted road network, with wide avenues that allow safe travel both by car and on foot. Brasília's TV tower, located in the center of the monumental axis, offers a privileged perspective of the entire city. It serves as a natural orientation point for visitors. From there, you can visually understand how the two axes intersect and organize the urban space. Access to the tower is by elevator, ensuring comfort for senior tourists, and the observation platform provides 360-degree views. The structure was designed by Lúcio Costa, the same architect responsible for the city's overall plan, and its construction reflects the intention to create a visual symbol of modern Brazil. The initial sensation when exploring the pilot plan is one of absolute order. Every element is in its place. Every space has a defined purpose. Unlike cities that grew in a disorderly fashion, Brasília offers intuitive navigation, where streets follow logical patterns, and accessibility is considered in every detail. Tourists can easily orient themselves in the city, exploring its main points of interest without difficulty. The senior tourist finds in Brasília wide sidewalks, clear signage, and moderate distances between the main points of interest. This urban organization makes orientation easier and allows visitors to make the most of their time efficiently, without getting lost or tiring unnecessarily. The next layer of this unique urban experience is revealed when exploring the superblocks, where residential life happens in a completely different way from what you see in other capitals. The superblocks and unique urbanism. The superblocks represent the most distinctive innovation in Brasília's urban planning, completely differing from the model of traditional cities. Each superblock functions as a self-sufficient unit, containing residences, local commerce, green areas, schools, and sports facilities within an organized perimeter. The concept was developed by Lúcio Costa, with the aim of creating integrated communities where residents find complete infrastructure, commerce, education, health, and leisure, without the need for long displacements. The superblocks are identified by numbers, Superblock 101, 102, 103, and so on, and are distributed across two large residential areas, the North Wing and the South Wing, literally the north and south wings of the city, which form the shape of an airplane when viewed from above. Visitors who explore these areas discover a repeated but functional architectural pattern, where residential buildings are elevated on pilotis, creating open spaces under the structures that allow free circulation and access to green areas. The experience of walking under the pilates of the superblocks offers a unique perspective on urbanism. Visitors literally pass beneath the residential buildings, a rare feature in other world capitals. This design allows green areas to extend continuously, creating internal parks where children play, adults exercise, and seniors rest on shaded benches. Access to the superblocks is facilitated by well-signposted roads and wide sidewalks, ensuring accessibility for senior tourists. It is recommended to visit Superblocks 108 and 109 in the North Wing, where commerce is more developed, with cafes, restaurants, and local craft stores. Superblock 115 in the South Wing also offers a representative experience, with active commercial areas and well-maintained public spaces. Travel between superblocks can be done on foot for short distances or by taxi car for broader exploration. The quality of life provided by the superblocks is evident in the safety of public spaces, the maintenance of green areas, and the proximity of essential services. Unlike cities where growth was disorderly, the superblocks maintain a consistent standard of organization that facilitates navigation and offers predictability to visitors. Some tourists report an initial feeling of repetition when observing the architectural uniformity, but this feature precisely reflects the planning intention to create equal access and opportunity for all residents. The structure of the superblocks also reveals how urbanism can be designed to prioritize collective well-being over real estate speculation. When you understand this philosophy, the next stage of the Brasília experience, observing the monuments that express state power, takes on even deeper meaning. The monumental axis that commands respect. The monumental axis represents the ultimate expression of Brazilian state power, concentrating the main government buildings in an architectural sequence that impresses with its scale and intentionality. This axis stretches for approximately 1.5 kilometers and houses iconic structures such as the Palácio do Planalto, the Supremo Tribunal Federal, the Congresso Nacional, and the Cathedral Metropolitana. Each building was designed with symbolic purpose to reflect Brazil's modernity, strength, and organization as a nation. The monumental axis is not just a circulation space, but an architectural statement about how the country wishes to be perceived. Visitors who walk along this axis experience a sense of silent grandeur, where the scale of the buildings and the vastness of the open spaces create an atmosphere of solemnity and historical importance. The Palácio do Planalto, located in the Praça dos Três Poderes, is the official residence of the President of the Republic and exemplifies Brazilian architectural innovation, with its bold geometric forms and expressive use of concrete. Its architecture is characterized by extensive use of exposed concrete and geometric forms that dialogue with the horizon. Access to the Palácio is restricted to pre-scheduled guided tours, available on specific days of the week. The Supremo Tribunal Federal, also situated in the Praça dos Três Poderes, features an equally impressive structure, with columns supporting a pure geometric form. The Congresso Nacional, with its two symmetrical towers and the dome that houses the legislative chamber, is visible from various points in the city and serves as a visual landmark of the monumental axis. The Cathedral Metropolitana, designed by Oscar Niemeyer, offers a unique spiritual experience, with its interior naturally illuminated and decorated with sacred artworks. Access to these buildings is facilitated by nearby parking and wide sidewalks, ensuring safety and comfort for senior tourists. Understanding the architecture of the monumental axis requires knowledge of the principles that guided its creation. Oscar Niemeyer, the principal architect responsible for the government buildings, used curved and fluid forms, an aesthetic signature that repeats in his works, lending elegance and movement to the buildings. Lúcio Costa, responsible for the overall urban plan, created axes that organize the city so that each element has a visual and functional relationship with the others. The monumental scale is not accidental. It was deliberately conceived to express the importance of the state and create a sense of reverence in those who observe it. The TV tower, mentioned earlier, offers the best perspective to understand how these buildings relate spatially. When viewing the monumental axis from above, it becomes evident that each structure was positioned to create visual and functional harmony. The next stage of the Brasília experience reveals a building that, though less visited than the previous ones, represents one of Brazil's most significant architectural works, Itamaraty. Brazil's most underrated building. The Palácio do Itamaraty, headquarters of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, represents one of Oscar Niemeyer's most significant architectural works and remains largely unknown among international visitors. Located on the monumental axis, near the Praça dos Três Poderes, the building was completed in 1970 and reflects the Brazilian architect's technical mastery and aesthetic vision. The structure is characterized by its artistic concrete columns that support the main body of the building, creating an open space beneath the construction that allows free circulation and offers unique visual perspectives. The Itamaraty is not merely an administrative building. It is a statement about how architecture can express diplomacy, openness, and national strength. Its international importance is recognized by architects and art critics worldwide, although it remains little visited by tourists who are unaware of its existence or historical relevance. Access to the Palácio do Itamaraty is possible through pre-scheduled guided tours, available on specific days of the week. The building is located on the monumental axis, approximately 2 kilometers, about 1.2 miles, from the TV tower, and can be easily reached by taxi or car. The interior of the Itamaraty houses a notable collection of Brazilian artworks, including Athos Bulcaio's tile panels, Bruno Giorgi's sculptures, and paintings by renowned artists. The reflecting pool that partially surrounds the building creates an atmosphere of serenity and reflects the architecture in a way that amplifies its visual beauty. The reception rooms, corridors, and workspaces were designed with attention to detail, demonstrating how design can serve both administrative function and artistic expression. For senior tourists, the guided tours offer detailed explanations about the history, architecture, and artworks, allowing a deep understanding of the building's cultural significance. The Itamaraty's international position as an architectural masterpiece is consolidated through recognition by heritage preservation organizations and specialized architecture publications. The building exemplifies how Brazilian modernity was expressed through innovative forms and materials, such as exposed concrete, glass, and steel. Visiting the Itamaraty provides insight into how architecture can communicate national values and serve as a diplomatic tool. Unlike other government buildings that express power through raw monumentality, the Itamaraty conveys sophistication, openness, and refinement. Visitors who take the time to explore this building gain perspective on the quality of Brazilian design and the importance of preserving architectural works as cultural heritage. Do you imagine Brasília only as concrete and straight lines? Think again. Discover the parks and lakes that offer tranquility and contact with nature, essential for recharging your energy and appreciating the vibrant side of the city. Immerse yourself in this natural layer that perfectly complements the architecture, ideal for gentle walks and moments of peace, parks, green areas, and the natural side. Almost no one shows, Brasília offers a unique experience of integration between modern urbanism and environmental preservation, with green spaces strategically distributed throughout the city. The city park, located on the south monumental axis, represents one of the largest green areas in a Brazilian capital, with approximately 420 hectares dedicated to leisure, sports, and nature contemplation. This park was designed to offer multiple activities: walking, cycling, picnics, and wildlife observation in a safe and well-maintained environment. The Olhos d'Água Park, situated in the north wing, is characterized by its natural springs and trails that allow direct contact with the native vegetation of the Cerrado biome. Lake Paranoá, which partially surrounds the city, offers impressive visual perspectives and functions as a climate regulator, keeping temperatures milder compared to other regions in central Brazil. These natural spaces are not accessories to Brasília's urban planning. They are essential components that define quality of life and the visitor's experience. Access to the parks is facilitated by well-developed infrastructure, including ample parking, public restrooms, rest areas with shaded benches, and drinking water fountains. The city park can be easily reached by taxi or private car, with free entry and operating hours from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Inside the park, you will find well-signposted bike paths, picnic areas equipped with tables and barbecues, and spaces dedicated to different physical activities. The Pontão do Lago Sul, located on the shore of Lake Paranoá, offers restaurants, cafes, and viewpoints with panoramic city views. This spot is particularly recommended for senior tourists who wish to enjoy meals with a view while watching the sunset. The trails in Olhos d'Água Park range from low to moderate difficulty, with clear signage and rest areas strategically placed. Brasília's climate, with moderate temperatures most of the year, makes the parks accessible even for visitors with reduced mobility, as long as they use the main paved paths. Exploring Brasília's parks provides insight into how urban planning can preserve the natural environment while accommodating a growing population. The Cerrado, the characteristic biome of the region, is protected in several areas within and around the city, allowing visitors to observe native flora and fauna. Species such as the maned wolf, anteater, and various birds can be spotted in the parks, especially during the early morning hours. The sense of peace and openness that characterizes these spaces deliberately contrasts with the geometric order of the buildings and superblocks, creating balance in the urban experience. Visitors who dedicate time to the parks understand that Brasília is not just a city of concrete and power, it is also a space where nature remains present and valued. But there is a side of Brasília that no monument can express, the one that only reveals itself when you sit at a table, taste an authentic dish, and chat with those who truly live in the city. It's time to discover the Brasília invisible to the hurried tourist, the one that exists in the flavors, encounters, and stories shared in the spaces where real life happens. Gastronomy and everyday life. The Brasília you live, not just photograph. Brasília's gastronomic experience reflects the confluence of culinary influences from different regions of Brazil, creating a unique culinary identity that is not widely known among international visitors. Local gastronomy incorporates elements from Goiás, Minas Gerais, and the Brazilian Northeast, resulting from the migration of populations that settled in the capital during its construction. Cafes distributed across the north and south wings offer authentic experiences of everyday life, where residents and visitors share communal spaces. Unlike tourist restaurants that serve stylized versions of traditional dishes, local establishments maintain original recipes and preparation techniques passed down through generations. Visitors who take time to explore local gastronomy gain a deep understanding of Brasília's culture and the traditions that shaped the city's identity. The Mercado Mané, located in the Estádio Mané Garrincha complex in central Brasília, represents a gastronomic hub where various restaurants offer regional dishes in a shared environment. This space serves as a meeting point for residents and visitors, allowing an authentic urban life experience. It is recommended to try dishes like arrumadinho de carne de sol, a combination of fried sun-dried beef, couscous farofa, and vinaigrette, which exemplifies the fusion of northeastern techniques with local ingredients. The cafes in superblocks 108 and 109 of the North Wing serve artisanal pão de queijo made with aged Minas Gerais cheese, accompanied by specialty coffee. Access to Mercado Mané is facilitated by ample parking and its central location, allowing senior tourists to visit without travel difficulties. Operating hours vary by establishment, but they generally operate from Monday to Sunday, with the busiest times during lunch and weekends. Everyday life in Brasília reveals itself through encounters in cafes, restaurants, and public spaces, where conversations and human relationships form the essence of the urban experience. These spaces offer visitors the opportunity to interact with local residents, understand perspectives on the city, and participate in authentic social dynamics. The quality of the meals, combined with the hospitality of owners and staff, creates a memorable experience that goes beyond simple dining. Senior tourists find in local establishments a welcoming environment, personalized service, and the possibility to enjoy meals at their own pace without the turnover pressure typical of tourist restaurants. But Brasília is not just what was planned in 1956. The reality of urban life, with its economic pressures, population demands, and practical needs, forced the city to grow beyond the perfect lines of the pilot plan. And it is precisely in this contrast between the planned and the real that an even more valuable lesson emerges about how cities evolve when confronted with the life that really happens. Brasília, beyond the original plan. Brasília is not limited to the original pilot plan. The city has expanded significantly in recent decades, creating satellite cities, independent administrative areas that function as autonomous municipalities integrated into the Brasília metropolitan region. Unlike traditional neighborhoods, the satellite cities have their own administration, complete infrastructure, and contemporary dynamics of growth and transformation, reflecting the capital's urban evolution. Águas Claras, located approximately 20 kilometers, about 12 miles from the center, is a satellite city that represents the capital's most notable expansion, characterized by verticalized residential buildings and modern infrastructure. This region grew rapidly after its creation in 1989, attracting a population seeking more affordable housing than that offered in the pilot plan. Other satellite cities such as Taguatinga, Ceilândia, and Samambaia also developed as middle-income residential areas, creating urban dynamics distinct from those planned by Lúcio Costa. The architecture of these new satellite cities reflects contemporary real estate market trends, less emphasis on innovative design, and greater focus on functionality and profitability. Visitors who explore these areas understand how planned cities evolve when confronted with real population growth demands and economic pressures. Access to Águas Claras is facilitated by a well-signposted highway and taxi or private car service. The region offers shopping centers, restaurants, cinemas, and various services that attract both residents and visitors. Unlike the pilot plan, where architecture follows established standards, Águas Claras presents architectural diversity that reflects individual choices by real estate developers. The Águas Claras Ecological Park offers green space for leisure and contemplation, allowing visitors to understand how urban expansion incorporates environmental preservation elements. For senior tourists, the region provides modern infrastructure with hospitals, pharmacies, and easily accessible health services. The contrast between the rigorous and symmetrical planning of the pilot plan, with its precisely geometric streets, and the more flexible and adaptive organization of Águas Claras offers perspective on how different urban planning approaches produce distinct results. Accessibility in Águas Claras is adequate, with well-maintained sidewalks and clear signage, although the standard is less rigorous than in the pilot plan. Brasília's expansion beyond the original pilot plan reveals inherent tensions in urban planning, the need to accommodate population growth versus preserving original design principles. Águas Claras and other peripheral neighborhoods house the population that works in the pilot plan, but cannot afford to live there due to high costs. This dynamic creates daily commuting patterns that generate congestion on access roads, particularly during peak hours. Visitors who observe this reality understand that even planned cities face challenges similar to those of organically developed cities. The contemporary architecture in Águas Claras, though less innovative than that of the pilot plan, reflects global urban design trends and offers functional comfort. Now that you have walked along the monumental axes, explored the superblocks, tasted the local gastronomy, and understood how the city evolves beyond what was planned, it's time to ask the most important question. What does Brasília really teach us? Because this is not just a city. It is an urban experiment that challenges centuries of how we believed cities should be built. And the lessons it offers go far beyond architecture and urbanism. What Brasília teaches about cities. Brasília serves as a living laboratory of urban planning principles that challenge conventions established over centuries in other cities. The capital's integral planning demonstrates that it is possible to create a modern metropolis where functionality, aesthetics, and quality of life coexist deliberately. Unlike cities that grew organically over centuries, accumulating layers of history and chaos, Brasília was conceived as an expression of a unified vision of how urban life should function. The principles applied in its design, separation of functions, integration of green areas, human scale in the superblocks, monumentality in the government axis, offer relevant lessons for contemporary urban planners. Visitors who understand these principles gain a critical perspective on how cities are built and how design decisions impact the everyday experience of their inhabitants. Exploring Brasília also reveals the limitations of urban planning when confronted with social and economic realities. Population growth beyond the original pilot plan, the disorderly expansion of peripheral neighborhoods, and the difficulty of maintaining the original vision over decades demonstrate that no urban plan is immune to real development challenges. The sense of excessive order that some visitors report, the repetition of the superblocks, the absence of the creative chaos typical of historic cities, reflects a trade-off between functionality and organic diversity. Senior tourists who take time to reflect on these issues understand that ideal cities exist only in theory, and reality always introduces unforeseen complexities. Brasília offers a unique opportunity to observe how an ambitious urban experiment unfolds over time, maintaining its fundamental principles while adapting to external pressures. Brasília's lessons transcend technical urbanism issues. They touch on philosophical questions about how societies wish to be organized and what values they want to express through their cities. The pilot plan represents a statement that equal access to services and opportunities is possible through intentional urban design. The monumentality of the monumental axis expresses national aspirations for power and modernity. The superblocks reflect a belief in community and collective life. When visitors understand these symbolic dimensions, the experience of walking through Brasília gains depth that goes beyond simply observing buildings and spaces. Senior tourists who return from Brasília take with them not only memories of architecture and landscapes, but also an understanding of how cities communicate values, express power, and shape the lives of their inhabitants. But the true journey in Brasília doesn't end when you leave the city. It continues in every decision you make about the space where you live, in every question you begin asking about urbanism and planning, and in every moment you observe your own city with a completely new understanding. Now it's time to transform everything you've learned into action, because knowledge without application is just information. And you're about to discover exactly how to do that. Brasília is calling. What now? Brasília is much more than a tourist destination. It is a living lesson on how cities can be planned with intentionality, how architecture communicates values, and how the spaces where we live shape our life experiences. By exploring Brasília, you will discover the Cathedral Metropolitana, with its sculptural forms that defy gravity, the Palácio do Planalto, that exemplifies Brazilian architectural innovation, and the superblocks that demonstrate how communities can be self-sufficient and integrated. You will walk through the Praça dos Três Poderes, a symbol of democracy and modernism, and understand how Oscar Niemeyer turned a vision into reality. But Brasília also offers something few destinations provide: the opportunity to question and rethink what you know about cities. You will see how urban planning can create order without rigidity, how accessibility can be prioritized from the start, and how different urban development approaches, from the pilot plan to the satellite cities, produce distinct and revealing results. For the senior tourist, Brasília offers modern infrastructure, safety, accessibility, and a relaxed pace. Everything that makes a trip comfortable and memorable. You can explore the city at your own pace, appreciate the architecture without rush, and deeply understand how a capital was reimagined. Brasília is not perfect. It has contradictions and challenges. But it proves that it is possible to think differently, plan better, and create cities that serve people. This experience will transform your perspective on urbanism, architecture, and urban development. Come visit Brasília. Let this unique city rewrite your understanding of what cities can be.